Welcome back. On today's episode of After the Afters, we have DJ, producer, and MC Tørbjorn. Enjoy.
Yeah, only as strong as the weakest link. Made it too far just to raise a drink. Wanna fit in, wanna be distinct, but the tightrope making me think. Stare down the crowd like they're finna get crossed up. PK sound from a seed to a blossom. Got that system tuned like a Rasta. Ego death, kill my inner imposter. Hasta la vista, baby. Do it on the daily.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing really good. Got the day in the studio to myself. Wife's at work and my kids out at daycare, so studio time for dad.
Nice.
Oh, awesome. How old's your son?
My daughter is about to turn 2 at the end of January.
Oh, that's a fun age.
Yeah, it's a whole new adventure. I've been like single touring DJ for most of my career, and now I'm balancing the family life as well. It's a big change, but it's super fun.
How old are you?
I just turned 37. My birthday is at the end of November.
Okay. So where did your name Tørbjorn come from?
Tørbjorn's my real whole first name. I'm Norwegian American. I'm second generation, so my grandparents immigrated, and we've all got like Nordic Viking names. But the homies just call me Tor for short.
Tor?
Got it.
Cool. Yeah, I could not, I didn't know how to say it, so I had to look it up. And you posted a video where it's like, it's got this down here, it's like, nope, down here, nope. And then thankfully you put it just exactly how it said, so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I get a lot of funny pronunciations. My favorite one ever, I think, was Tor Bonjour. Like, hello, Tor.
Yeah.
And then I think I read, like, when we first heard about you after LAB, does it mean Thor and bear?
Yeah, Björn is bear in Norwegian, and Tor or Thor is just a name, but then it's also like the god of thunder, so it's kind of like a thunder bear.
Okay, that's cool.
That could be your side project.
Yeah, totally.
Oh yeah.
So at LAB, so we saw you. Was it a
Wednesday
surprise
night
set, the first one that we saw?
Yeah, we had never heard of you, and then you hopped up there at the Stacks, and we were definitely pretty impressed and super stoked. You were rapping that night, right?
Yeah, I did like 1 or 2 verses at the end of the set, I think, yeah.
Sweet. So how long were you at LIB for?
I was there for the whole festival plus like 2 days. So my day job, which is what brings me to a lot of these festivals, is as a sound engineer. I work for PK Sound, their Los Angeles-based hub. So anywhere there's PK speakers on the West Coast, there's like a decent chance that I'm there working with the crew.
Sweet.
That's cool.
Yeah. And that was my second LIB, the year that I played at the Stack stage. I worked with the main stage crew the year before, which was super fun, but all my very close DJ friends hung out at Stacks all weekend. It's like where all the coolest like underground music is, or where a lot of the coolest underground music is. So my shift would get over like maybe 45 minutes to an hour before the Stacks ended. So we'd be like coiling up cables and like putting speakers away and everything and like sprinting across the festival grounds to like go check out the last, like the secret headliner is at the end of every night at Stacks. They do like a 75-minute set. And the year that I was working with the crew, some good friends of mine who were supposed to be the Wednesday secret headliners had like a schedule conflict. So like silver lining for me when the stage director was kind of asking around, do we have someone nearby that we think could fill in? Like 4 or 5 of the homies who were nearby was like, you guys got to put Tor on. Just kind of right place at the right time. We had an epic crowd, and I'm always like dressed for the job I want and the one that I have. So I like had like a really solid DJ set, almost all originals that I was like practicing on my laptop on the flight over to LAX or to Burbank, I think I flew into. And then like the opportunity arose and got to get up in front of like 2,000 people and throw down. And yeah, it was awesome. It was like, felt very well earned, but also like luck is preparation meeting opportunity or whatever they say. So it felt like a little bit of that too.
That's awesome. What other festivals have you played? I seen, were you at Apocalypse this year?
I was at Apocalypse with the PK crew again. Yeah,
Okay.
we were. So we had crews there doing 3 stages, and they had placed me on the drum and bass stage, which was super fun. Okay. They booked like almost all like UK British drum and bass acts, since it was like a lot of classics and guys that are DJs and artists that are like really big over there, but are kind of like just breaking in now that drum and bass is like cool in America right now. So it was like super cool to see all those guys play. Mephius was a favorite.
Who is it? Mephius?
Mephius or Mefjus, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, to be honest.
I'll have to look him up. I like drum and bass, but it's like newish for me. I've only recently got into it, like maybe a year ago. So yeah, it's definitely, it's getting to be more popular over here for sure.
Yeah, it's having a big moment in North America right now. I guess maybe in Canada it's been popular. They have this like cool like Canadian-British connection that's unique in their like art scene, unique to what we have in the States. And so I feel like if you go north of the border, like Shambhala and Samsara and those kind of festivals, you get like a little taste of what's going to be cool here coming from England before we get it, I feel like.
Okay. So do you have any crazy stories or experiences that's happened, like when you're during a set or working with the PK group?
Some crazy stories. I think the craziest, I think, is like people going over the sound curfew at the end of the night. It doesn't seem that crazy for the crowd. Obviously, there's like one more song energy at the end of the night, especially if you have a big stage and a big artist. But it gets to be really, really stressful for like the stage crew, because there's often, especially the outdoor festivals, there's often like city government and fire marshals involved and all this stuff, and there's huge fines. I mean, we're talking like tens of thousands of dollars for like going over curfew.
Wow.
When you noise ordinance for a city is like you have to be quiet after 10 p.m. and they're licensing and paying to be able to go till 2 a.m. Like the fire department is like there at 2 a.m. like looking at their watch being like, are you guys gonna cut us a check for 40 grand, or are we gonna like shut it down on time? And artists don't always have that in mind. They're riding the high of this like epic moment on stage, as they should. They've earned it if they're in that slot. But there's like a little dance there. Another great example of that is Red Rocks, like the famous
I was gonna say.
Famous Colorado-based venue. I think there's like some lore that a big dubstep DJ like 10 years ago has to do with this, but I don't know the whole story. But I got to run sound there on tour with Prof, which was like a huge blessing and a really cool moment. And I had to sign a contract with the city of Morrison that is like, we have a 3-strike sound ordinance policy, and if you go over the decibel limit, the operator of the soundboard is fined $10,000. So
Wow.
there's a lot of pressure in those moments that like almost nobody sees or feels except for like the crew, because it's not party adjacent and it's like, you know, not part of the art. But yeah, those moments can be a lot of pressure that the artists don't necessarily feel, but they have like, they impact what happens there sometimes. So
Yeah, I'm from Colorado, so I've been to like tons of Red Rock shows, and that was always what people were talking about. And I also heard it was because all the workers have to stay longer, so then you also have to pay all them. But I've definitely seen like Pretty Lights go way over his time limit years ago, and then I'm assuming the DJ you're talking about might be Bass Nectar, because I know he's had a tendency of playing late sets at Red Rocks.
I don't know if he's like the only one responsible, but I think that was like the headline was one of his shows back in the day, was like the straw that broke the camel's back. They're like, we can't keep like slamming, like the rocks were getting damaged due to like excessive bass or something like that.
Which is crazy, because now there's so many bass shows there, like all summer or all year long.
Yeah, they're strict with like the noise ordinance though, and like how loud you can be. I have a buddy of mine who used to tour with Flume for a long time, and he like, his joke to me was like, if you're mixing at Red Rocks The third strike is when they fine you. You got to at least get 2 strikes for it to be a good show. And I was feeling just like, so like, dude, that's a lot of money on the line. I'm not even trying to get any strikes against me on the soundboard at all.
Yeah. So some of the names of your songs, how do you come up with those? How do you name your songs?
There's kind of like there's two sort of like trees of songs that I'm making right now. I have like AV show focused material, and that's kind of like the elevator pitch for that is like the pillars of hip hop represented through the lens of bass music. So it's emceeing, it's DJing, there's dancers on stage, and there's visual arts that make up that show. Those all kind of just get like normal song titles, like Far Out or Head Spin is my newest one that's coming out on K-Lab's resurgence of his record label. Super excited about that. But on the like strictly like beat production side, it's all kind of like conjoined song names and then an underscore and then like a abbreviation for a physical medium that you would have listened to music on in the era that the like creative comes from. It's kind of a weird way to explain it, but let me give you an example. 8-track tapes. It's like a really old obsolete media. They were in like used in the 60s and maybe until like the mid 70s, these like big chunky square tapes. Mm-hmm. That I have a beat tape series that's like 8-track beats, and all of the album art is based off of those like types of cassettes, and a lot of the album artwork and some of the samples and sounds come from stuff in that era in the 60s and 70s when those cassettes would have been used. And then I'm doing series of those over and over again that will eventually lead to one full-length album, which will be underscore LP, and that'll be called Physical Medium. So the tracks leading up to the Physical Medium album are all like big like titles squished together. So one of them is like all one word, You Think a Monster Lives in Each of Us, 8-track, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I was curious, like, because I would see, like, you'd put the underscore and then, like, the number and, like, 7 in or something.
Yeah, so the 2-track EPs are 7 inches. If you put two tracks out back in the day, it'd be like side A and B of a 7-inch vinyl record.
Gotcha.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of just a way to like differentiate. I'm really passionate about like vocals in bass music and like super inspired by MCs of all kind, rapping of all kind and singing of all kind. But then I also have these bookings where that's like or these performances where that's like not the thing to do. Like a DJ set is, you know, what people want, not necessarily someone rapping. So that's kind of why I have those two lanes.
Okay.
Just those two different lanes of music, the MC focused stuff and the beats focused stuff. So I can kind of get on stage and perform in like a couple different ways that I'm passionate about.
Nice.
So are you doing just like rap shows too?
Less than the bass music stuff for sure, but yeah, I've toured the US and Europe opening for a Seattle-based rap group called Dark Time Sunshine. Really, really cool guys from Seattle that are into some weird and alternative stuff, but it is predominantly just like underground hip hop. So doing like bass music and DJ sets like that didn't really make sense on that tour. So I kind of like edited a lot of the material and focused on the rapping and singing. And then like a lot of the festivals, LIB, for example, I would have maybe been one of like 3 MCs, the whole week. And so it just seemed like maybe not the right time and place to focus on the rap stuff. So that was a DJ set. But, the last tour that I was on doing my own solo dates in Spokane, I got to open for DJ True Justice. He's one of the Bay Area DJs that tours with Hieroglyphics, the underground rap group, if you're familiar with those guys. So it's really cool to get to be in both lanes because I love underground rap and I love bass music. And ideally, everything would be like, you know, kind of like a Shambhala vibe where like everyone's down with both of them and those two styles get to collaborate on the same stages. But, you know, not everyone sees it that way. A lot of like national rap tours are like really about rapping and not about DJing as much. And then cut to like EDC, Insomniac events and those kind of things. It's very much DJ culture. You would not, more often than not, you would not expect a rapper to be like a headline artist or let alone like a support artist. Though I think they did have like Ludacris and Busta Rhymes at EDC Orlando, but
Yeah.
maybe that's a
They had,
different
like
story.
T-Pain and someone else.
T-Pain,
Yeah. It's very strange.
Yeah. So maybe like the tides are changing, you know what I mean? And those things are converging on the main stage, which I'd be super stoked about. But it seems like there's still some room for growth there.
Yeah, it's definitely nice having the little bit of the mix of the different genres. We prefer going to festivals or shows that have that good mix of a little bit of, you know, not just strictly EDM.
Yeah,
he loves jam bands.
Yeah, I
so
mean,
we do
I'll
a lot of
Nice.
that. But
I'll listen to like bluegrass, and then I'll listen to like dubstep. Like if you're going through my like songs, it's just everything. So I used to go to a music festival in Illinois called Summer Camp, and it had literally a little bit of everything.
I was just going to ask if you had visited out in the Midwest. It seems like the jam band bass music crossover is like really, really strong there. Are you familiar with Reconnection Festival? They're like near St. Louis area.
No.
Really, really cool, small festival. I got to go to one in like 2017, and I went to one maybe 2 years ago. And it is like peak where live instrumentation meets bass music, and like everyone's all about it. The fans are super into it. They have some really forward-thinking artists that are kind of bridging that gap. Wookie Foot is a great example of like some
Wookie
super
Foot.
cool psychedelic jam band, but they have like synthesizers and some weird other like trippy electronic stuff as part of their sound. It's cool to see that because that pushes like a whole other side of the culture forward when those two things unite.
I love that you know Wookie Foot. One of my best friends, Kirsten, her dad plays with the drummer from Wookie Foot. They had a band because they're from the Midwest it was Big Tasty. But yeah, they're super cool.
That's a great name for a band.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's interesting like how many rappers, like I've seen Little John do a like dubstep set. I've seen Waka Flocka at summer camp did a dubstep set. So it's interesting that they do love that like heavy bass. I feel like the EDM producers can really like bring it when it comes to producing heavy music, and that's where like you hear some good heavy beats in hip hop, or in like rap, but it just does not compare to the EDM producers.
Yeah, it's like I'm trying to think of who told me this. I think it was my friend Parrot. He likened it to like broad brush strokes versus detailed brush strokes, and a lot of lyricism is very detailed brush strokes. But you have to like really get in depth and get up close to understand it on a deep level. And like bass music production, he likened to really broad brush strokes, that there is detail as you get closer, but you can see it from very far away. And there's like, especially on the coasts, like, New York, and I think down in like the South too, the trap sound, EDM, like bass music in general, borrows a lot from East Coast, even from like West Coast G-Funk and all of that stuff. It borrows so much from like the really, really big identifiable sounds of rap music that I think there is now that bridge where like maybe Skrillex Bangarang felt like way too far away from what any rapper would find palatable as far as beats go. And then the more that we've been like kind of borrowing here and stealing there from rap beats and like decades of it, now people are like, oh, that's not too far from like something that Snoop would rap on, or like that's not too far from something that Migos would rap on. It's just got some like high energy stuff going over the beat instead of lyrics. And so like, especially when you see these kind of like new trends happen and the beats are like really minimal. So I think of like Hamdi, the kind of like UK bass sound that's been getting really big the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. It's like grime rappers found a home on there, and then as soon as they did it, then like the US MCs were like, oh, we could see ourselves rapping on this. And then now that has become like as vocal driven as it's become instrumental, the like UK bass sound. And I just, as like an MC nerd and like a beat making dork, I love seeing how those puzzle pieces fit together, because it just means more people are going to be collaborating and like pushing the sound forward in a cool way.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So when did you start making beats? When did you get into that?
I probably made my first beat ever in like middle school, like, I don't know, like a long time ago. And I was like 10 or 11 or something like that, I was like, got pretty into computers and figured out how to like download video games and software and stuff when I was a kid. So I was like a little pirate as a youngster, downloading FL Studio and trying to figure out how that worked. But I think I really took it seriously for the first time with like a career in mind in like 2014, 2015. I was like coming out of college. I thought I was going to be like a studio engineer, producer. And the band that I was touring with, we were like getting somewhere, but then we would have to like split the check 5 ways. And it just wasn't, we really wanted to do it full time, but the money wasn't there for all 5 of us. So I was kind of like, maybe I could do the solo career thing if I can like sing over music that I'm programming on Ableton. Cut to like going to a couple festivals and meeting some bass, drum and bass, future bass, whatever producers that were like, you don't actually have to put your voice on it. There is like a scene here where people just want to hear the beats. And that was probably like 2015. I think my first EP came out in 2016.
Okay. That seems so long ago.
I know it does, especially everything pre-pandemic feels like an extra 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
Like before it actually is.
A whole nother life. What's the process of when you collab with other artists? How does that happen?
Do you prefer it in person? Are you guys doing it like remotely a lot?
I think I would like it to be in person more than it is. I think the one person that I collaborate with the most in person is probably Nuri's, Hawaiian MC. And he used to be a part of a beat making duo, but I think they kind of left the beat thing behind them because he found a lane just as an MC. So a lot of the like rapping and singing driven songs that I make, we've collaborated on a lot of that stuff. But when it comes to working with other producers, a lot of that is remote, just because it's so easy to send an Ableton session or send some stems back and forth on the internet now. But I recently got to sit in the room with Chase Manhattan. He goes by 6'4" now. He's an LA-based producer, originally from Portland, but he's living down in Santa Monica now. And he told me that he's like kind of done with the remote thing and that his best work happens in person. And it really made me think about kind of like what's my clip sending stems versus like being in a room with someone. And I think that the creative ideas just happen faster. Like you get to that flow state faster in person for sure. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty good at achieving like a solo flow state if I can get the house to myself on a studio day like today. But it's like a whole different thing when you are bouncing ideas off another person or a second opinion to just be like, no, that's not the one. But not just stopping there, being like, but what about this? And that reminds me of my band days. And when I played guitar in a band, we used to knock out like a new song every time we would get in the rehearsal space together. Whether or not it was a hit or not, I don't know who's to say. But just the fact that the ideas can flow so quickly that way, I would much rather be in the room with someone. But that's something I got to work on because I think I'm more remote than in person right now.
Yeah. That makes sense. Being in the room with someone, I feel like too, it kind of plays for like when you're a consumer and you're listening to an artist, it's like, are you feeling what they're putting into the music? So I could see how if you're with them in the room, what is it that they're putting into it? Are you feeling it? You're not feeling it? So yeah, that definitely.
Well, with quantum physics, everything breaks down that energy is transferring.
Yeah, everything is an energy transference. Yeah, 100%.
Dude, I had a college professor that used to he was really all about the math and like the science of IRL situations, and he talked about the All right.
I didn't like the conversation we were talking about.
I was about to get really nerdy. And talk about my professor in university who was like, the science behind two brains working together, it's not linear. It's not like double the brain power. It's logarithmic. It's like 10, 20 times the brain power. And he used to just always be like, you guys have to collaborate with people. It's like the fastest way to grow at like a high pace. And I was trying to remember that because definitely learning from other people have been some of my biggest level up moments in creativity and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
But when you work, you guys will probably resonate with this as artists. I'm assuming that's like a lot of your visual art behind you, right? So you guys are drawing and painting and stuff a lot. It's when you're working alone, you can kind of trick yourself into this thing where you're like, oh, the people that will see this are going to love this idea that I'm having right now. And you can almost kind of like inflate it. But really, like, who are those imaginary people that you're imagining loving this thing? You know, really the best way to like know the answer to that is to have like another unbiased opinion and someone next to you that, I mean, maybe not completely unbiased, but at least like not biased based on your own thoughts. They can be like, yes or no, that's cool, or no, it's not cool. Way more objectively than you can be like, this painting I'm doing is my biggest hit. They'll love me at the Louvre. My Mona Lisa.
Oh yeah. Sometimes we'll be painting and that'll happen. I'll be painting and it's like, it's okay. It's okay. You're just like, dang, I thought it was so good. Or like a collage art.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of collaging and because we got like hundreds of Playboys from my older relatives, so we've been just like cutting out old clippings and trying to make cool stuff. And I have like I'm like, oh, this is gonna be so sick, and then I show it to her and she's just like, it's like not the reaction I was hoping for.
But at least you have that like layer of protection to get that from someone you trust, rather than taking it all the way to the end and then you're like, oh, this huge crowd of people doesn't like it. That'd be way worse than. Sometimes it cuts deep when it's your partner or your collaborator more than a stranger, but you know, still.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm a glass blower, so I've collabed with people in the past, and I feel like a big hurdle with collaborating is really you have to take your ego out of it, and when you feel like, oh, my idea is so good, and then like the person, and it's hard for the other person too sometimes to like speak up and put their, you know, hey, I don't think this is what's right for this, you know, finished product. So I don't know if you've had those challenges.
You want the art to be good, but you don't want to like, you know, go like punch down on your friend or whatever, or like ruin, you know, if they're like feeling some creative idea. I've had difficulties on both sides of that. I think with people, there's a couple people for some reason that I'm like really good at taking criticism from, and especially like before a song goes out, my homie Sam and my homie Nico, they're like my first line of defense, because we've just both of us, or all three of us separately and all together, we've collaborated so much, we understand each other's like taste and artistic style so much that I think we're like informed to just give that harsh yes or no. But like talking to, sometimes I'll work really hard on something and like show it to my wife. We don't collaborate as much, but I hold her like in really, really high regard as an artist. And so I think because we have fewer collaborations, and there's obviously like a relationship outside of like the creative stuff that's like involved in those conversations, it like cuts way deeper when she's not into something than like when some of my homies. And you know, there's probably some psychology behind that and the husband and wife thing and you know all of that stuff, but it's really hard for me to give her negative feedback on her creative stuff, because I really just like love all of her stuff genuinely, probably just also because I love her so much as a person, but like everything she makes I think is like the dopest thing. So when we're collaborating on something and it's not right for the project, or some part of me is like, oh, we have to make a change, sometimes it can feel kind of like walking on eggshells, not because she would react negatively to the feedback or whatever, but because I'm just so like, oh my gosh, this is such an important like person and such an important collaboration to me that I like really don't want to kill the vibe by saying I don't like it or whatever. You know, it's more complex, I think, because of who the person is.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
You guys nodding at each other a little bit on that one.
Yeah.
It's tough, man.
The eggshell thing for sure.
Well, and I think another big part of it is because you like no one wants to ruin a collaborative relationship, but when it's your partner, it's like 2 in 1. You know what I mean? You can be going through something else at home, and then like you're not, you know, might not be in the mood to collaborate creatively because like, fuck, we're dealing with this thing with our bills or, you know, whatever real life responsibility. And then, you know, there's the other side of the coin too. You definitely don't ever, art making, which should be like the most fun and expressive thing, you definitely don't want a bad moment there to impact like everything else that's going on at home. So, yeah. Thanks for the therapy session on that one, guys. I feel like we're really making a lot of progress here. But yeah, that stuff's just super important. And I'm incredibly grateful that my wife and I get to collaborate on creative stuff. She does a lot of merch designs, like costume design in our music videos. She's done like album artwork. She's like starred in a music video that we did a couple years ago. And, you know, those moments feel maybe few and far between, but they're like when they get to happen, because she's my person, it just feels like there's a lot of weight for this to be something great, and a lot of pressure, because I think she's an amazing artist and I want to like bring my A game as well.
That's so cool that you're able to collaborate and do that together too, to be able to have that, with having that you know, that's your person and you can be able to experience that with them.
Yeah.
That's really special.
Yeah, it's a dream. You got to cherish those moments when they come around, and if you have them often, then really, like, it doesn't get much better than that. Enjoy it.
Yeah. So are you an independent artist, or are you on a label?
I am on I don't have like a long-term contract with a label. And that's a really interesting question to ask, especially kind of being in the lane between rap music and electronic music. They kind of are the same industry, but they're two different models, at least what I've seen. I think a lot of successful artists in hip hop will sign like a multi-record deal. So you get a deal with like, I don't know, doesn't even matter what label. Let's say Rhymesayers Records. They would likely, if they saw the value in an artist and they were like, we want to work with you, it'd likely be over like a couple albums. They'd be like 7 years and 4 albums and X number of tours. That's like what the contract is. And you would have 7 years to execute all of that. And if things went really well, you could extend it. Or if you, like many artists do in those multi-year, multi-album contracts, get super tired of working with people and you're like, I'd actually, the glitz and glamour of being on a record label is gone. I've kind of learned how to do this myself anyways. My 4th record is up. It's been 7 years. I'm going to go independent after that and do everything myself, start my own label, but be the only artist signed to the label. That's really, really common in rap music, in underground rap music, I should say. On the electronic music side of the industry, they're typically single album, like distribution deals, which means that you are going to make one album or one EP or one project for a label, and you're going to give them the music and they're going to pay for everything. They'll recoup their money back, and then after that, you'll split everything 50-50, and then that's done. The deal is done. They own their rights to that album like forever or in perpetuity or whatever the contract states. But after that, you could go to another label. You could start your own label. You can kind of hop, skip around, which a lot of artists do. And the long-term version of that I've seen the most is an artist will kind of find like 3 to 5 labels through experimenting with a lot of different releases over many years. The ones that are like kind of blowing their songs up, or the label or the main artist that runs the label is kind of having a moment, they'll buddy up, kind of build a fan base, and then they'll go independent after that. Ultimately, the goal is like to have your own label, to own all your own music, to run your own business that is all of that. And that's kind of a new thing in the last 15 to 20 years that we can do as independent artists. But the value of a label, besides like maybe they have some money in the bank to like push your project ahead, the value of the label I think is like going down and down and down, because we all have like the same tools anyways.
Yeah, that's cool. I was just kind of curious because the more that we look into artists and we're looking at different, that's something that we're hearing is like, oh, we're independent, we're not, so it's nice to be able to hear kind of the difference of how that is within EDM, and other genres. So.
I think the biggest reason those two are so different is because in electronic music, really like what a label is in today's age is just like a business that exists on the internet. They maybe also have some physical merchandise that they're selling, but they'll have like an office that houses all of that and someone who's running their web shop and just shipping all of that stuff out. So much of it is on the internet that really like the barrier to entry is being like really tech savvy and understanding like what the different apps are, what the different services are, and which ones like earn revenue, and how to like best practices of running all of those in tandem. And I think that people that are making electronic music are already pretty like internet and like computer adept from just that's your instrument is like a laptop or, you know, a recording studio in most cases. But in hip hop, that's not always necessarily the case. A lot of people are tech savvy. A lot of people are business savvy. But on the artist side, it's not as many multifaceted artists. A lot of people are like really, really charismatic, really good storytellers and really good lyricists. And none of those things are like technology dependent necessarily. So you'll see like more rappers working with producers, working with engineers, having like a whole team behind them in the studio and on the music business side of what they do, and having managers, et cetera, et cetera. And then that exists in the DJ world and in the electronic producer world too. But I think it's like a way, way higher threshold where people are able to like earn money and make a career off of it just themselves in their like home studio situation, from Bandcamp, Spotify, all that kind of streaming stuff. Maybe they're like slick and have someone that is helping them with merch, or they're like making and selling their own merch. But, you know, there's a lot of money to be made. There's a lot of your bills to be paid learning how to grow a fan base online and learning how to like sell different pieces of your art. And I think the parallel in the physical art world is like festival vending and, you know, people that specialize in clothing or specialize in prints and originals. It's the same kind of thing. It's like, if you can mass produce your art, you're good at getting people's attention and finding the people that really like that art and want to own it, and you're good at like marketing yourself online. There's probably a lane for you as an artist, at least with some side hustle sized income. You know, if what you make is coming from a genuine place and is like good quality. There's definitely like a bigger community for niche art now than ever.
So what are some of the like advantages, disadvantages of using like Spotify versus like Bandcamp? I saw like yesterday you made a post because right now everything on social media is like Spotify, you know, I've listened to this and this.
25 rap,
yeah, so like everyone is posting about that right now.
Yeah.
And you made a post about Spotify and Bandcamp. So what are some of the disadvantages, advantages to that?
I'm a little spicy with the Spotify stuff because morally as a company, they're really reprehensible. And like their former CEO, in my like dramatic opinion, has done more to like ruin the landscape for independent artists than like anyone else in our lifetime by slashing royalty rates and putting thresholds above where people can get paid, doing all these different things that are, to be fair, that are in the favor of the listener and make the listener's experience really, really good and really, really affordable. But at the cost of like artists having to give everything, give up a lot of their rights, give up all their royalties. So it's tricky because I want to do what's best for the people that want to listen to the music, which means I have to play the Spotify game and try to do extensive marketing to people that pay for their one platform that happens to be Spotify, give them a chance to hear my music. But as a creator, it's like I couldn't possibly be getting less in return for those efforts from Spotify. And so that's where I kind of like tongue-in-cheek every year when it's Spotify Wrapped season and everyone's posting their top 10 artists or the creators are posting like how many countries and how many hours and whatever. Instead of like posting my stats and like competing is really what it is with all the other artists that post that. I try to like right before a Bandcamp Friday or right before like a SoundCloud pay period ends, Photoshop my wrapped picture to be like, hey, there's actually better opportunities to help your artist friends get paid if you would hop over to this other platform and maybe drop them $1 for a download or a repost or a like goes a long way too. And just kind of like, I'll Photoshop over my Spotify Wrapped with like an ad for Bandcamp basically, which is like a really corny thing to do, but in a like silly way to do it. But that's like what that is all about. I like am on Spotify because you have to be, because it's good for the listener, but want to make sure that I'm communicating to fans of me and any artist that like there's other way better ways to support your artists if you want to be a part of pushing that forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
So on Bandcamp, is it more accessible to like donate to the artist?
Yeah, their Bandcamp's share is like 74%, or maybe it's higher than that, but you I think it's 85%, but the artist pays part of the tax. So like for every dollar, you're making about 75 cents. And then on Bandcamp Friday, the first Friday of every month, they waive all fees and taxes. And so if you spend $1, the artist gets $1. And so you'll see a lot of people releasing on the first Friday of every month, or like a couple days leading up to that, and pushing that Bandcamp Friday. Because a lot of people, especially DJs that want the actual files and they want them in high quality, Bandcamp's one of the best places to get that. If you just stream music, Bandcamp's pretty sick as well, but because it's an independent platform, you might not find like all of the artists that you would expect if you're like a Drake or a Taylor Swift listener. Bandcamp's maybe not the top spot, but if you're passionate about independent artists, your artist community and underground artists, you'll find stuff there probably before most other platforms, because for the underground artists, you'll find Bandcamp being like one of the first destinations, because it's free to make an account and you can start making money like the first day that you start your account if you have some people that want to buy your music. It's an awesome platform for that. And they let you direct message. So if people buy your music, Bandcamp internally will let you like email campaign to them down the road when you have future releases coming out. And I don't know what your guys' like communication with your art fans are, or if you how much you spend marketing and communicating on like the business side of what you do. But direct to fan messaging is like really hard via social media, unless you're like super slick with your DMs. But even then, you have to send individual messages to people. Meta and like Google at some point will be like, yo, you're sending too many messages. You got to like slow it down for the next hour. We're going to stop you from sending messages. It can be really tricky to make sure that all of your supporters get your message, and Bandcamp lets you email them directly through the portal, which is like for free, which is like insanely valuable tool.
That's cool. Yeah, that's really cool.
Do people post podcasts on there?
I'm sure they do. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you can stream and you can upload audio like up to 3 hours long or something like that. People post sets and all kinds of long form media, so might be a sweet way for you guys to do that. I don't know if there's like a pay to stream, or if you would want to just like post them up there for free or whatever, but it's a pretty sweet tool for anything audio related.
Sweet. Yeah, we'll have to check that out.
So do you have any upcoming shows? It's like almost end of the year. Well, we got a month left of this year.
Yeah, I have one more show for 2025, December 20th, I think. My whole family and I are flying out to Hawaii, and we're performing at a pagan solstice celebration on the island of Maui. With a bunch of cool like Maui-based artists and my two close friends, Nuris and Collecta. Some festival buddies who live out there in Hawaii and are like awesome DJs, and Nuris is a MC. He and I've collaborated on a lot of music in the past, so we got like a 2-hour slot for the three of us to do a big back-to-back set. So we're excited.
Oh, that's cool.
In Hawaii too. I mean, that's like a 2-for-1. You guys get
it's beautiful there.
Vacation.
Yeah, Christmas in Hawaii. We've got a lot of really close friends out there. We're blessed with some people that kind of take us in and treat us like family. And so when we here up in the Northwest in like Seattle, Tacoma area, when we start to get the rain and like the gray for months on end, we always try to break that up somehow and like get some authentic vitamin D in our system to fight the winter blues, because the winters get tough up here in Washington for sure.
Oh yeah, very cool. All right, well, you got anything else?
I think that about wraps it up.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, where can everyone find you?
I'm on the internet everywhere at Beats by Tor on every social media platform, or beatsbytor, TOR.com is my website. You'll find links to everything there. And super stoked. We're closing out the year strong with a beat tape, an EP that just dropped. I've got a music video for my recent EP, Tone Mulling, is dropping here in a couple days after we record this. What else? I've got songs coming out with Homemade Spaceship. I was featured on his recent EP, which I'm like super stoked to be a part of that. K-Lab's record label, Junk Food Records, is featuring my new song Headspin on their compilation alongside like some of my all-time favorite artists. It's like super rad to get to be a part of that. Playing a show in Hawaii in a couple weeks, and then we'll be home just hunkering down with the wife and kids for New Year's. So hope you guys have like an awesome holiday in store for yourselves as well.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. Real quick, so on Spotify, the Ton Maling, so is that just part of the album?
That is, I'm calling it an album, but really it's an EP. It's 3 songs.
Okay. With so it's the first one, was it Janta?
Soft J with Yanta.
Yanta, okay. And I love that's like violin in it.
Yeah, it's like a folk instrument called Hardanger fiddle. It's like Norway's national instrument. It's like a flat violin, so you play chords on it, and then there's strings underneath that like float that you don't bow, but they resonate when you play the top strings. So it's like the devil's fiddle because it harmonizes with itself with the understrings.
Interesting. Are you playing that instrument in that song?
I played a little bit of that instrument back in the day. I own one, but don't play it so much recently. On the album, it was performed by Rachel Nesvik, who's a longtime family friend.
Very cool. And are you all the vocals in those 3 songs?
Yep, that's all my vocals.
Sweet. Hell yeah. It took me a minute to because I was listening to a bunch of your music, and I think in other songs I hear other rappers, so I just assumed, and then I was like, wait, I remember he was rapping at LIB, so I'm pretty sure that this is him on these tracks. So it was very, very good. I love hearing it. Nice. Yeah, I think that about wraps it up. Thank you so much for coming on. You're actually our first guest. We've been really putting a lot of energy the past couple months, getting this thing really out there. So we really appreciate it.
Awesome. Hell yeah. Well, thank you guys so much. Happy holidays.
Yeah,
and
happy holidays.
Hello to your dog as well.
Yeah, she's been sleeping the whole time.
All right. Take it easy, Tor.
All right. Thanks. See you guys.
See you guys.